There's this woman pretending to be mom, and it's just a nuisance. So I'm cutting ties with her today, once and for all. Sadie, my late husband's eldest daughter, unilaterally ended our relationship. I may not have been perfect, but as a mother, I poured out my love to her, and I accepted the estrangement. Fortunately, my late husband's younger daughter, Mabel, chose to stay with me, treating me as her parent. As a mother and daughter, we supported each other, and I watched Mabel grow independent. At her wedding, I couldn't help but cry seeing her in her bridal gown. However, out of the blue, the eldest daughter and her husband came to my place. "Don't give money for the sister's wedding. Hand over some cash now," he demanded. When I refused, the eldest daughter's husband flew into a rage and attacked. That's when he appeared. "What are you doing?" Our savior had arrived, leading to the downfall of the eldest daughter and her husband. My name is Carrie, 53 years old. Now, surrounded by wonderful people, I live a peaceful and fulfilling life. At my age, I often think about the rest of my life, and I'm incredibly grateful for these days. Still, I've had many share of struggles and minor misfortunes along the way. I met my husband, Chandos, at the company I joined after graduating from college. That was 20 years ago, and back then I was content being single. But then he came into my life. I'm the one who has to be chosen by Carrie, but if you say it's okay, I want to marry you. My husband had transferred from a regional branch, a single father in an unfamiliar city with 2 daughters. His wife had passed away, leaving him with the girls. I knew about it from colleagues even before we started dating, but as we grew closer, it became a serious consideration. He was always considerate towards me, and I could see that even now. That's why expressing his feelings wasn't straightforward for him. "I choose you. I want to support you, Sadie and Mabel." When I accepted his proposal, his stepchildren, Sadie and Mabel, were 10 and 5 years old, respectively. During our relationship, I interacted with both, trying to bridge the gap, however, awkwardly. I first aimed to become friends with my 2 stepdaughters, who were years apart in age. "What should we do today? What would you like for dinner?" After getting married, I quit my job at my husband's request and focused on household duties. My husband, having lost his first wife, felt more secure knowing I was at home. "I want hamburger steaks and tater tots." How about we pick one for today and the other for tomorrow? Then hamburger steak. Okay, so Mabel wants hamburger steak. Sadie, what about you, Sadie? It doesn't matter to me. Anything's fine. Are you sure? We can have hamburger steak and your favorite gratin. Fine, as long as there's hamburger steak. Raising the 2 daughters had its challenges, especially with Sadie, the elder. Sadie was an elementary school student, 10 years old and fairly aware of herself and her family. She understood that accepting me, her second mom, as mom was up to her. Mabel, a preschooler, remembered her birth mom and her passing, but perhaps due to her younger age, she was more quickly adapting to our new life. The difference in their adaptation became more apparent in their attitudes towards me. Sadie called me Carrie, Mabel called me Mom, and was affectionate. "Carrie, you don't have to come to the parent-teacher conference. Dad will come. Or if he can't, it's okay if no one comes. Just don't come, Carrie." "Oh, please, just don't come." Sadie started to distance herself from me. "The surgery might be successful, but I can't say for sure about the recovery." 5 years into our marriage, my husband tragically passed away in a traffic accident. when we rushed to the hospital with the girls, that's all the doctor could tell us. After a severe head injury, my husband died the day after the surgery. After the funeral and the other formalities, a new life began for me and the two girls. Sadie was in the 8th grade, Mabel in 4th. Together with their grandparents and relatives, we discussed our future. Ultimately, they continued to live with me, but my relationship with Sadie might as well have ended completely after my husband's death. Maybe Dad shouldn't have remarried. He just had bad luck. Sadie. One day, Sadie muttered something that I think stemmed from the sorrow of losing both parents so early. I couldn't quite grasp her true feelings. Especially Carrie, who barely knew us. What was Dad thinking marrying her? I mean, it's sad for Mom. I could say my efforts to connect with Sadie weren't enough. Still, I tried to be caring, even if I couldn't quite be a mom. Carrie might be content just acting like a mom. That's not it. Even if you don't accept me, I'm here for you and Mabel. That's what I don't need, the mom-like stuff. We're basically strangers, let's just leave at that. You are a stranger, not a parent. Stop trying to be a friend. It's presumptuous. Sadie completely rejected me. Yet, I still had to ensure Sadie and Mabel were well cared for and safe. After becoming a housewife, I started working part-time. Mom, are you okay? Mabel was quietly concerned about me, struggling with my relationship with Sadie. Being friendly with me felt like a betrayal to her sister. Even as a child, she was burdened with this complicated consideration. I regret not handling things better, but at that time, I was too consumed with day-to-day survival. My first goal was to get Sadie through high school, then on to college or vocational school if she wished. I'll go to a college far away. That way, we don't have to see each other. Deciding to attend college, Sadie showed me the materials and coldly spoke. Don't do anything. Don't even speak to me. While studying, I was strictly instructed not to interact with her. Once I prepared a snack, but she threw it away right in front of me, making it clear I was unnecessary. After Sadie got into her desired college, she left home. I remember feeling more emptiness than loneliness after seeing her off. Living with Mabel, now a high school student, the tension in the house disappeared. Hey Mom, I'm thinking of getting another part-time job. Mabel, you're in high school. You should be focusing on your studies, not money. But I want to save up for further education. Mabel was always worried about causing me trouble or hardship. No matter how much I assured her it wasn't necessary, she was determined. I have to be strong for Mom and Dad who aren't here. Mabel was a resilient girl, juggling multiple jobs, enjoying school life. Never skimping on helping around the house and always prioritizing being home. That's why she chose a nursing school within commuting distance. Being a nurse, I can survive on my own, and I can take care of Mom too, she said, laughing, assuring me not to worry about the future. Mabel eventually graduated from nursing school and found a job. I guess my mission is complete. I muttered to my husband's photo, updating him on our daughters' lives. It wasn't a peaceful journey. Our relationship wasn't perfect. But I raised them without sickness or harm and fulfilled my responsibility. My sister is getting married, Mabel said. Really? Yeah, she called the other day. She wants to meet you, Mom. 2 years after Mabel started working, I was informed of this news. Mabel, as a sister, stayed connected with Sadie. Apparently, they kept in touch for seasonal greetings and important updates. Through Mabel, I arranged a meeting date. 2 weeks after our initial discussion, Sadie returned home for a family meeting, the first time in several years. It's been a while, you look well. What? You'd prefer if I weren't? Our reunion was met with bitter words. Sadie, now 28, had the air of a fully independent woman. Her fiancé, 2 years her senior, worked for a reputable company. Tall and seemingly quiet, that was just a first impression. He never greeted me. I heard today is about a marriage announcement. When I asked her fiancé, Sadie interrupted. Yeah, that's right. I'm getting married. Not that I need to tell you, but it's also a report to Dad. Ah, yes, but thank you for coming to tell me. What? Didn't you hear? I said it's a report to Dad. Ah, right. Thank you is weird. You're not my mom. It's creepy. Sadie laughed mockingly and then made an exaggerated request. Please, Carrie, don't come to the wedding. I'm begging you. She smiled. I was stunned, and her fiancé mimicked my reaction. Also, could you please not involve yourself in our lives anymore? A mom imposter is just a nuisance. So, after today, we are cutting ties. From me too, please. Don't taint Sadie's life any further. Mom imposter, a stain. I was shocked and angry, but I wasn't sure if it was right to express that. What do you think you're doing? Mabel stood up, having welcomed Sadie and her fiancé alongside me. Do you even understand what you're saying? She confronted Sadie and glared at the fiancé. Of course I do. I'm just being honest about how I feel. Today, the mom imposter leaves the stage. What? Mom imposter? Mom has always been mom. She raised us, got us through school, didn't she? That's expected, isn't it? Even a fake mom would do that. Sadie and Mabel's relationship had been unstable from the moment I became their mom. Sadie, distant from me, and Mabel, who grew close. Until now, there had always been a tension among the three of us. Any honest feelings or grievances would snap that tension and reveal our unstable bond. This culminated during Sadie's marriage announcement. As I stayed silent, Sadie and Mabel argued with Sadie's fiancé, watching with a cold smile. Enough, please. No more fighting, okay? Mom! What now? Playing the good person? If that's what you think, then fine, Sadie. What? I accept your request. So, we won't see each other anymore. Yes, if that makes you happy and satisfied. You won't come to the wedding? No, I'll keep that promise too. The best course of action was for me to step back. Mabel tried to argue on my behalf, but I cautioned against conflict. Oh, good. I feel relieved. Goodbye. Thus, from that day, Sadie and I ended our relationship. Mabel, too, told her sister she had had enough and chose the same path as me. I heard about the wedding from relatives. At the ceremony and reception, my and Mabel's existence was ignored. And Sadie only expressed gratitude to her birth mother. She didn't even mention our late father. A colleague of the groom was saying, he doesn't have a very good reputation. I'm worried about that. Relatives sitting near the groom's colleagues overheard discussions about his past relationships and disruptive behavior in town. I wonder if Sadie knows, they pondered, apologizing to me for sharing such concerning news. Yet, I was prepared to help Sadie if she ever found herself in trouble, and Mabel agreed. Thankfully, time passed without incident. I continued living with Mabel, and before I knew it, 5 years had passed. Mabel, now 28, married a wonderful man. Feeling the length of those 5 years, I witnessed Mabel's growth. As my gift, I suggested making her wedding a little more luxurious. I wanted to fulfill all her wishes. The dress she wanted to wear, the flowers she wanted to decorate with, and the plans she wanted to realize. Even if it seemed indulgent, I wanted to grant these wishes, not just as a substitute mother, but truly as her mom. Mom, thank you for raising me, spoiling me, scolding me. We hugged, tears streaming down our faces, still fresh in memory. Then, one day, Sadie and her husband unexpectedly visited their high-rise apartment where Mabel, her husband, and I lived. There was no prior notice. What brings you here so suddenly? Though surprised by the unexpected visit, Mabel and I ushered Sadie and her husband into the living room. Sadie looked at me with mocking laughter. I was surprised to hear from my aunt that Mabel got married. And the wedding was extravagant, right? Must have cost a lot of money. Sadie had heard about Mabel's wedding like me. How I, as her mom, enthusiastically financed the wedding. The grand venue, the extensive guest list, the luxurious hotel. Sadie sighed as she mentioned these details. Well, Mabel liked you, so you must have been dear to her, but isn't that unfair? Unfair? You were the one who rejected me. But you could have at least given a wedding gift at the time. Oh, I forgot about it too. I should have reminded Sadie. Yes, exactly. We totally forgot. Sadie and her husband reminisced about their declaration to cut ties, laughing. Then they demanded a wedding gift and celebration presents from me right away. I'll send a list of things I want. You'll give me everything on it. Sister, stop it! How can you be so selfish? Once again, Mabel reacted before I could. The sisters argued. Why do you only think about yourself? What? You've been living the good life too. Like what? I heard your husband is quite wealthy, so you must be rich too, right? Not just me, but now they were demanding money from Mabel. Sadie's husband joined in with a greedy smile. Recalling relatives' comments about his bad reputation, I realized the truth and was frightened. And there was Sadie, not suspecting her husband, doing the same. I was even more appalled. Enough! Memories of struggling with how to approach Sadie as a daughter vanished, and I yelled at her. It seemed this was our inevitable fate. That's the only way I could think of it. Listen, Sadie, I spent money on Mabel's wedding because she's my daughter. What? Stepdaughter, right? So am I. So you have a responsibility to give me money too. You cut ties with me, remember? Sadie continued to complain in response to my argument. There was no written document about the estrangement, just the outcome of a family discussion, so it meant nothing and could be dismissed as a momentary lapse of judgment. In the end, she became defiant about it. But I wasn't going to let such selfishness slide. I decided to clarify the definitive difference between the two sisters. You see, Mabel isn't just my stepdaughter anymore. We've legally adopted each other. What? I wanted to ensure that Mabel could inherit anything I leave behind when I die. We've become an official family. After cutting ties with Sadie, Mabel and I discussed our future. Being just stepfamily could lead to complications regarding Mabel's marriage and my death. A formal parent-child relationship meant Mabel could inherit without issues. I wanted to do the utmost as a parent. So we completed the adoption process. Inheritance? You're kidding. You were just a poor, shabby stepmother. I was, once. I made both you and Mabel struggle. But now, thanks to my job, things are different. This change came about after my estrangement from Sadie. A former colleague from the company where I met my late husband invited me back to work. She was a woman who had taken early retirement to start her own business and needed my expertise. I believe your dad guided me to this opportunity. Our small start in a rented office space grew into a company with its own building downtown. This success allowed me to fund Mabel's wedding and help with the purchase of a high-rise apartment. Unbelievably, we were financially comfortable. Sadie listened to this post-estrangement story with her head down, while her husband clicked his tongue in irritation. "You're lying, old hag! Hey!" As I tried to stop him from getting up, he threw a sofa cushion at me. "Make Sadie your adopted child now. It's not fair to give money only to her sister. Give us money right now." He grabbed a remote from the table, intending to hit me and Mabel. We dodged and tried to escape from the sofa when the living room door burst open and Mabel's husband rushed in. "Mabel, Carrie!" He tackled Sadie's husband, knocking the remote away. "Hey, stop! Who are you?" "Shut up! Hey!" The two men locked eyes, both startled, but Sadie's husband seemed more shocked. You are... You're from the HR department, right?" As we tried to understand, Sadie's husband stammered out an apology. "Sorry, sir, Sir? This guy's Mabel's husband, right? Some rich kid, right?" "Shut up! He's the son of your company's president." In his agitation, Sadie's husband snapped at his wife. Mabel and I exchanged glances at that outburst. We never expected Sadie's husband to be working at Mabel's husband's company. Both Sadie and her husband had gone pale. Indeed, Mabel's husband was the son of a prominent business magnate. Mabel had met him through a mutual acquaintance. He might be a rich man's son, but he's a serious, sincere, and gentle young man. "So, you are Mabel's older sister. I've heard quite a bit about you from Mabel and Carrie." Sir." Mabel's husband didn't know Sadie's husband's name, but he recognized his face. And Sadie's husband, as a senior executive, certainly knew of the president's son. "Sir, I'm so sorry. My wife and I apologize." "No need for that. Prepare yourself. It doesn't matter who you are. Attempting assault is inexcusable." That's... You could be fired. Wait for your punishment." Seeing Mabel's husband's usually calm eyes flare up in anger was a first for both Mabel and me. Overwhelmed by his rage, Sadie and her husband left our house without another word of apology. A few weeks later, "He's been dismissed for misconduct." "Is that so?" "I'm sorry. I just couldn't bring myself to show any leniency." "It's okay, don't worry about it." Mabel's husband reported the outcome with remorse. Mabel listened in silence, seemingly at peace with the decision. Months later, we heard through the grapevine that Sadie had divorced. Unable to cope with her unemployed husband, she impulsively left him and their home. "Please, I'll apologize as many times as needed. Just help me." Soon after hearing the news, Sadie came to our house, pleading tearfully. However, Mabel and I rejected her plea. Without sympathy or pity, we simply turned her away. After repeated attempts, Sadie eventually disappeared and became incommunicado. Even our relatives don't know her whereabouts now. Nowadays, Mabel, her husband, and I live a peaceful and happy life. My work is going well, and in my personal life, I'm eagerly awaiting the birth of my first grandchild early next year. Talking to Mabel's belly, I imagine the bright future of my unborn grandchild.